Welcome to this batch of critical topics on income tax. You will say, sir, whole income tax is critical. But yes, what we are going to do is I have selected 9 topics, okay, where students usually lack. And also I have considered amendments. So I'll be covering all these 9 topics, okay, up to 30th of June on alternate days. And I'll be giving you all information on the WhatsApp group with respect to these topics, the notes required, etc. etc. It will be 8 to 10. I've already sent the schedule to you. So this is useful for whom? It is useful for chartered accountancy students, company secretary students, as well as CMA students, both intermediate level as well as final level. In case of CS, executive level as well as professional level. So is it clear? So it's going to be equally important for all these 3 courses. Okay, these particular things which we are going to discuss. So overall, in these 9 sessions, what are we going to discuss? In general, I'm telling you, today's topic of discussion will be residential status. Then as we go ahead, I will be interested in discussing some critical parts of capital gains and PGBP. Not only that, I would like to revise entire income from salary, entire income from house property, also do the provisions of TDS, TCS, correct? And one day I have dedicated to practice of all the things. Now, how exactly the things are going to be conducted, you will understand as we go ahead in this today's session. So let's start with residential status. So here is the topic in front of you. You need not write anything because all these notes on daily basis will be shared with you. Is it clear? Is the instruction very clear? Notes will be shared with you on daily basis. This Excel sheet plus I have made some notes. Those also will be shared to you. And I'm using CA intermediate module and various sources that all will be shared with you. Correct. Chalo, so let's start without wasting much time. Residential status of assessee. Why it is important? It is important because depending on residential status, scope of income is determined. Getting it? So basically, any country or any economy, income tax can be levied on 2 bases. One is on the basis of residential status of the assessee. Second is on the basis of source of income. Example, I'm chartered accountant and I'm in practice and I visit UK for giving a service to particular client based in UK and that client pays me in pounds. Now question is where it will be taxed. So point is I should check my residential status in UK. Suppose I find out my residential status in UK is non-resident. Okay. Now I should check my residential status in India. I find out that majority of the days I am staying in India. So I find out my residential status in India is resident. So my dear friends, will that income be taxed in India? Yes, it will be taxed in India on the basis of its, rather on the basis of my residential status. Getting it? Now, whether it will be taxed in UK as well, it will be taxed in UK as well on the basis of its source of income. Getting it? Because that income is getting due in UK. Did you get my point? So income can be taxed on the basis of source of income or on the basis of residential status of the assessee. For now, we should check from Indian perspective. So which income will be taxed in India? Such income will be taxed in India, which is earned by resident in India. Yes or no? And second, Also, such income will be taxed in India, of which the source of income is in India. Correct? So, as if I'm a resident in India, then every global income will be taxed in my hands. Yes or no? Each and every penny of global income will be taxed in my hands in India. Secondly, if there is a foreign cricketer who is coming to India and playing IPL matches, then whether his income from IPL matches will be taxed in India. Now, you won't check his residential status. It will be taxed in India based on the source of income. So I'm trying to tell you 2 points. One is you should understand how to determine residential status. Second, you should know that once you decide residential status, okay, you should also know scope of income. So this topic will talk about two things: residential status and scope of income. Even though I'm saying residential status, discussion of residential status is incomplete if we don't connect scope of income to it. Getting the point? Now, listen carefully. Where is determining residential status discussed? It is discussed in section 6 of Income Tax Act, and scope of income is discussed in section 5. And which income is called to accrue or arise in India is discussed in section 9. So 5, 6, 9. These three sections I'm going to take you through today, including amendments involved. Correct? And I will try to give you a brief idea with respect to determining residential status for each type of assessee. Firstly, so we discussed this, you can go through this. In India, the residential status for individual could be resident, ordinary resident, resident, not ordinary resident, and of course, non-resident. Did you understand? For individuals, there could be three statuses. If I am a resident, then I could be ROR or I could be RNOR. Okay. Or I could be NR, that is non-resident. Is this basic point clear to all of you? Yes, no? Yes, very good. Now, how to determine residential status for individual? So basically, it all depends on number of days stay in India during the previous year. Previous year, all of you know, is financial year in which income is earned. Getting it? So for the exams which you are giving up, that is August or July 2021 slash November slash December 2021, the relevant PY is 2021. Accepted? That is AY 21-22. Yes. So in short, to decide a residential status for AY 21-22, you should check number of days stay in PY 2021. Is it clear? Now, so can residential status of individual, can it change from year to year? Absolutely, it can change from year to year depending on number of days stay. So listen, how to decide it for the individual. Okay, now you have to remember there are basic conditions and there are additional conditions. How many basic conditions are there? There are two basic conditions. Okay, there are two basic conditions. Out of two basic conditions, how many conditions are to be satisfied? Only one condition is to be satisfied. Any one. Even if any one condition is satisfied, you can call that assessee as resident. Okay. So can I go ahead and tell you the condition? See, first condition is that his stay in India is 182 days or more during the PY. Okay. Now, if that is not satisfied, then you go to second condition. During the PY, the stay, you check whether it is at least 60 days, means whether it is 60 days or more. And in last 4 years, which are preceding the PY, is it 365 days or more? If you get the answer as yes, then you can call that individual as resident. Is the point clear? Condition 1, stay in India is 182 days or more during the PY. So you are deciding status, suppose for PY 2021. Then during 2021, check whether the stay is 182 days or more. If you get the answer as yes, then no need to even go to second condition. You can satisfy and say that yes, the SS is resident. Second condition, if first is not getting satisfied, go to second condition. Check whether stays at least 60 days. The answer is yes, it is 60 days during the PY. Then check stay in last 4 years. If it is 365 days or more in last 4 years, of course, in last 4 years together, if it is 365 days or more, we can say that second condition is getting satisfied and then he will be declared as resident. Is the point clear to all of you? Now, my dear friends, what happens if none of the two conditions are satisfied? If none of the two conditions are satisfied, if none of the two conditions are satisfied, then status is directly non-resident. Getting it? All of you? Okay, fantastic. Now, listen carefully. So far, so good. So all of you are resident in India because all of you are staying in India for 182 days or more during the PY 2021. No problem about this. So say if you go to Canada for few days and earn the income and come back to India, what will happen? Will it be taxed in India? Yes, it will be taxed in India because your global income will be taxed in India. Fantastic. Now listen. Exceptions for satisfaction of basic conditions. So keep one thing in mind. Keep one thing in mind. Pay attention. Indian citizen who leaves India, correct? Indian citizen who leaves India during the PY as member of crew of an Indian ship or for the purpose of employment outside India. For this, you will check on the first basic condition. Second basic condition is not applicable. Meaning to say, such person will become resident only if his stay in India is, yes friends, only if his stay in India is 182 days or more during the PY. Getting it? So is it good news for such people or unfavorable? It is actually good news for such people because no one would like from income tax perspective to be resident in India. So for this Indian citizen who leaves India during the relevant PY as member of crew of an Indian ship or for purpose of employment outside India, they can be called as resident only if their stay in India is 182 days or more. Okay, if that is not satisfied, directly their status will be NR. Is the point Very clear to all of you? Yes, point is clear. Fantastic. Okay, fantastic. Now, be careful, understand. This second point we will understand with the help of one, uh, you know, I have given you a, I'm going to give you a separate PDF sheet. From that, we can understand this amendment. Okay, see, this second point we'll understand by way of that PDF. Correct? Pay attention properly. Very carefully pay attention. Now, before going to anything, just one more thing I want to tell you. Person of Indian origin means what? Person of Indian origin means if assessee himself or either of his parents or grandparents were born in undivided India. Undivided India means in before 15th August 1947. Clear the point? What is the meaning of person of Indian origin? Yes. Now, listen carefully to what I'm discussing. For PIO or Indian citizen, the period of stay which will make them resident in India was earlier 182 days. Yes or no? It was earlier only 182 days. But it is now modified to 120 days with effect from 1st April 2020. Isn't it a big amendment? You had just now said that a person of Indian origin or Indian citizen will be called as non-resident if his stay in India is less than 182 days. Isn't it? You don't go to the second basic condition. Yes or no? But now Indian government wants to increase the base. So what they are saying, even 120 days will be sufficient. But listen, further due to insertion of one or more subclause in section 66, an individual shall be deemed to be resident, not ordinary resident in India if he satisfies following 4 conditions. Okay. He will be deemed to be NOR if 4 conditions are satisfied. Which are those conditions? He is Indian citizen or person of Indian origin. Accepted? 1. Second, his total income, and his includes her. Okay. Total income other than foreign income exceeds 15 lakhs. Okay, during the PY. He comes to India on a visit during the relevant PY. Are you getting these basic conditions? So whatever trap we have set to call a person to be NOR, that trap is for PIO / Indian citizen. Accepted? Who was, who couldn't be caught in the trap of resident because his stay in India was less than 182 days. So he couldn't be caught in that trap. So now we have set a different trap. What trap we have set? His total income other than foreign income should be exceeding 15 lakhs. He should come to visit India during the relevant PY. And finally, he should be in India for at least how many days? 120 days. Of course, but less than, it should be 182 here, isn't it? It should be 182 here, but less than 182 days during the relevant PY. And 365 days or more during the 4 years immediately preceding the relevant PY. Did you understand? So now, if that is satisfied, then what will be his status? His status will be R, NOR. Exactly. Directly it will be R, NOR. Resident, not ordinary resident. Clear? Now, in short, status of Indian citizen or person of Indian origin is to be determined as follows. He visits India. If he visits India for less than 120 days, then, so this is a more simplified form. If he visits India for less than 120 days, then there is no chance of being RNOR also. His status will be directly NR. He visits for 120 days or more, but not more than 180 days. Plus, other two conditions as mentioned above are satisfied. Then his status will be RNOR. Is it getting clear to all of you? Yes, fantastic. And he visits for 182 days or more. If he visits for 182 days or more, then he will be called as resident. And if two additional conditions are satisfied, then he will become ROR. Correct? That basic you know. One basic condition plus both additional condition makes him ROR. Isn't it? Yes. So that is discussed here. So did you understand how to decide residential status for PIO or an Indian citizen? Yes. Then here I have given you notes with respect to meaning of income from foreign sources and person of Indian origin. Already discussed person of Indian origin and income from foreign sources. It means income which accrues or arises outside India, except income derived from business controlled in or a profession set up in India. Then listen carefully to what I'm telling you. There is one more thing. Indian citizen will be deemed to be resident but not ordinary resident in India if following three conditions are satisfied. So now whatever we are discussing is specifically for Indian citizen and not PIO. Getting the point? Now what I'm discussing is for Indian citizen, okay, and not PIO. SS is Indian citizen. His total income, in short, you know what I'm trying to tell you in this second point. Indian government is further trying to broaden the scope and calling Indian citizen as resident but not ordinary resident. His stay might be 0 days also in the PY. But if his total income exceeds 15 lakh during the PY, other than foreign income, and he is not liable to tax in any other country or territory by reason of his domicile. Are you getting the point? Is it clear to all of you till this point? Yes, yes. Now I'm back. Now I'm back. Okay, I hope it is clear to all of you. Yes, fantastic. Now, Indian citizen will be deemed to be, so Indian citizen don't even check his number of days stay, correct? Even if his number of days stays 0, still there is a possibility that he will be RNOR, correct? What are the conditions? His total income other than foreign income is exceeding 15 lakhs and is not liable to tax in any other country or territory by reason of his domicile or residence or any other criteria of similar nature. So Indian government, is taking a chance to tax him. He is not getting taxed in any country. Further, he is an Indian citizen. So why not tax him in India? Are you getting the point? There is one question coming up here. I'll read it. Hello, sir. Why is Indian government doing so? Changing 182 days to 120 days and now in monetary term 15 lakh. Are they promoting or not? Okay, please let me tell you, it is not a complete shift. Few SSEs were unnecessarily being declared as non-resident. So Indian government was losing income. Getting the point? Is 182 days directly shifted to 120 days? The answer is no. It is only for PIO and Indian citizens. Usually PIO and Indian citizens whose stay would have been less than 182 days would be directly declared as NR. Now, will they be directly declared as NR? Now, will they be directly declared as non-resident? No. Now, one more criteria will come in picture, that is stay of 120 days or more during the PY. Getting it? Yes, fantastic. Can we check MCQs on this? Acha. What my question to you is, I am Australian citizen. Carefully listen. I am suppose Australian citizen and my stay in India in the PY 2021 is 65 days. Is 65 days and in last 4 years it is 400 days. Am I resident? Yes. Fantastic. Don't conclude NOR. Am I resident? Yes. Can I be called as ordinary resident? Wait. For that, I have to go to additional conditions. So you already know additional conditions. There is no amendment in that. What are the additional conditions? Stay in India in last 7 years, correct? Immediately preceding the PY should be 730 days or more. One. And second, he should be resident for at least 2 years in last 10 years. Getting the point? Yes. So does that remain same? Answer is yes. Absolutely that remains same. Correct? But because of this 120 days criteria, if you are calling someone resident, then for them don't check additional conditions. They will be directly RNOR. Correct? Got the point? Yes, no? Fantastic. Fantastic. Can we check MCQs on this? So basically, why MCQs? Because, anyways, concept is going to get cleared in these MCQs. And I've given you hint after that. See, Mrs. Vidya is an Indian citizen. So highlight this, Indian citizen. Currently, she is in employment with a multinational company and posted in Dubai. During the PY 2021, she comes to India for visit of 152 days. Getting it? Her visit is of 152 days. During PY 2021, the visit is of 152 days. Isn't it? Now, point is, in earlier 4 years, she is in India for more than 1200 days. What is her residential status for AY 21-22? Okay, her annual income during PY 2021 is as follows. Okay, understand now, step by step. If it was pre-amendment, let us discuss pre-amendment and what is the situation right now. If this was pre-amendment, then what was her status? Exactly, it will directly be non-resident. Getting it? Because her stay in India is less than 182 days. Is it clear to all of you? It would be directly NR, but now it could be RNOR. Why? Because her stay in India is 120 days or more during PY 2021. And also check her income other than foreign income should be exceeding 15 lakhs. Check how much it is. Income from salary, rent, profession and dividend earned and received in Dubai, don't take it. Income from business accrued and received outside India, controlled from Dubai, don't take it. Income from another business accrued and received outside India, but controlled from India. Will you take this? Yes, consider this 12 lakh. Interest from debentures in India. Will you consider it? Yes, consider it. Okay. And amount deposited in PPF in India. You will take this as deduction. So 12 lakh plus 9 lakh minus 1 lakh 50,000. So can you tell me that what is your total income other than income from foreign sources? 19 lakh 50,000. So is it exceeding 15 lakhs? Yes. So what happens now? Whether all conditions are getting satisfied of calling her as RNOR? Yes, the answer is absolutely yes. All conditions are getting satisfied of calling her as RNOR. Clear? Don't go and check additional conditions. They are not supposed to be checked in such cases. Very good. Fantastic. What would be residential status in above case if Mrs. V is foreign citizen, but her maternal grandfather was born in village near Karachi in 1940? What will happen in such scenario? In such scenario, can we call her to be PIO? Yes. So the status will continue to be RNOR. Status will continue to be RNOR. Yes. Fantastic. If in question 1, Mrs. V informs that she is resident in 8 out of preceding 10 years, then what would be the residential status? No, someone has, put up my name and chatting. It continues to be RNOR. Fantastic. It continues to be RNOR. Why so? Because you don't check additional conditions in such situation. Clear, all of you? Suppose in question 1, Mrs. V does not have interest from debentures in India. In question 1, she is Indian citizen. She does not have interest from debentures in India. Then what would be her residential status? then her residential status will be NR because income will be less than 15 lakhs. Can we check answers? See, first our NOR, second our NOR, third she continues to be our NOR, and fourth NR. She will be NR. So is everything clear to you till now? No, 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 no. No need to do that. Someone is asking me one question that should we need to consider that she is not liable to pay tax in any other country? That condition is nowhere required here because we are calling her our NOR on the basis of her number of days stay. So you are mixing two things. When if you want to declare her as our NOR, if you want to declare her as our NOR based on this second criteria, then in that second criteria there is a condition that he is not liable to tax in any other country. Getting it? Right now, though, she is becoming our NOR because of these conditions, these four conditions. Is it clear? In these four conditions, there is no such condition that she should not be earning income from any other country. Okay, and so I hope the one who has asked a doubt, it is clear. And one more thing I want to tell you, that one more doubt I want to solve, that is one student is asking when we should not go to additional conditions. So when you should not go to additional conditions, when you are declaring PIO or citizen of India as RNOR on the basis of this amended provisions. So actually they were going to be NR, but because of this amended provisions, they are getting caught in the criteria of RNOR. Then in that situation, it is deemed as RNOR, no? So you don't go to additional conditions. Getting it? Sejal, to be very specific, is your doubt solved? Yes, fantastic. Now, pay attention. Okay, I might be looking a bit awkward because there is no electricity here as of now. Okay, so that's why the whole reflection and all you can see. Anyways, can you explain answer for question 2? Yes, why not? What would be residential status in the above case if Miss V is a foreign citizen, so not an Indian citizen, but maternal grandfather was born in a village near Karachi in 1940? So can I say status of Mrs. Vidya is, she is a person of Indian origin? Yes, PIO, she is a person of Indian origin. Yes or no, Krutika? And so accordingly, her status can be declared as RNOR because, getting the point, for being RNOR as per this condition, she could be Indian citizen or PIO. Yes, very good. One more question is coming up. Sir, if her stay is less than 120 days, shall we consider last three conditions? Yes, very good. Then by virtue of this criteria, you should try to fix her in the India as our NOR. Clear? Ria? Yes, no? Yes, fantastic. Go to fifth question. Mr. Siddesh is an Indian citizen. Currently is in employment with overseas company in Kenya. During different years, he is in India as follows. Now I would tell you, jump to 2021 and check his number of days. And he's an Indian citizen. Okay. Please tell me that in 2021, can we declare him as non-resident directly? No. Very good. Fantastic. But 120 days stay is also not there. 120 days stay is also not there. But very good. He is Indian citizen, isn't it? He is Indian citizen. So you'll have to check. He may become our NOR. Correct? He may become our NOR. Let's check. But you'll have to check what is his income. Correct? So check. For the PY 2021, Mr. Siddesh is not taxable in Kenya or any other country. Fantastic. By reason of his domicile or residence. Income of Mr. Siddesh other than income from foreign sources for the PY 2021 is 22 lakhs. So now tell me, what is his residential status? Now I think if someone had very smallest of the doubt, that would be now clear. Yes. Now, what would be answer in question 5 if his income other than income from foreign sources is 8 lakh instead of 22 lakhs? If it is 8 lakh instead of 22 lakhs, then exactly, then status will be NR. Yes, fantastic. Exactly, Purushottam. In fifth question, we are going to additional conditions. And in sixth question, even the additional condition is not getting satisfied. So directly the status is NR. I hope the point is clear to all of you. Fantastic. Now be very careful. What would be your answer in question 5? If Mr. Siddesh is a foreign citizen, but his mother was born in undivided India in 1940. I have got divided opinions within the students giving the answer, but correct answer is NR. Why correct answer is NR? Because those set of additional 3 conditions is only for Indian citizen. Fantastic. Fantastic. So directly status is NR. It cannot be RNOR. Check. In fifth question, it was RNOR. In sixth question, it was NR because income was, thank you, Purushottam. What else a faculty wants? Because this is originally designed by me. So thank you very much for that compliment. And yes, what happens is, again, in the seventh question, his status is NR. Is it clear to all of you? This concept? Yes, thank you. Let's go ahead. Still, I can see some students living in between. From 142, it has gone to 127. Maybe they have their own problems. No worries, but usually when you join a particular class, don't leave it in between. Correct? This is not for entertainment, right? You want to understand the concept till the end. So you need to have that patience to understand. Isn't it? Chalo. So I have discussed with you here additional conditions as well. Correct? So these additional conditions you can go through. And then I have discussed with you here scope of income. Scope of income, all of you are aware of in whose hands what will be taxed. Yes or no? Yes. Now, what we are doing, we have done here is particulars ROR, RNOR, and NR. If I talk about income received in India, as soon as any income is received in India, it is taxable in all the cases. Check. As soon as income is arising in India is decided as per section 9. Then it is taxable in all the cases. Getting the point? If it is income is neither arising in India nor received in India, so income neither arising in India nor received in India, but out of business or profession controlled from India, then what happens? Yes, friends. Then what happens? If it is from a business controlled from India, then it is taxable, and in NR's hand, it is not taxable. Clear? Income which is neither received in India nor arising in India, one person always suffers the tax. That is ROR. Getting it? So very important from exam perspective, this particular table. And income of some other year, but right now just remitted to India, it will not be taxable in the current PY. Getting it? Yes, no? Fantastic. Then we have discussed here residential status for Hindu undivided family. Okay. So once individual status is done, I have discussed for Hindu undivided family. So for HUF, to be a resident, its control should be in India. Either whole control or part of the control should be in India. Is the point clear? If that is in India, then the discussion is it will be OR or NOR. So for it to be OR, if Karta, that is the main person of HUF, satisfies both the additional conditions, then that HUF will be called as ROR. If Karta does not satisfy any of the additional condition, then HUF will be called as RNOR. Clear? And when do you call HUF as NR? You call HUF as non-resident if its control and management is wholly situated outside India. Clear about HUF? So HUF is such an artificial entity which has got ROR, RNOR, two type of statuses. Scope is there. No, Karta's residency does not affect residential status of HUF. First, what you should check is the control and management of HUF. If anything of that is in India, then declare that HUF as resident. Now you have to discuss whether it is OR or NOR. That depends on satisfaction of additional conditions by Karta. Is the point clear? Okay. Why is some other year income remitted in the relevant PY not taxable? Very good. So actually what happened is in say financial year 18-19, you did business outside India. And in 2021, you are just bringing that income in India. So in 2021 to it cannot be taxed. For PY 2021 to it cannot be taxed. That's why we are saying not taxable, not taxable, not taxable. No, understand. Someone had to bring this point. See, uh, income is earned in Sri Lanka. Just tell me what will happen. Income is earned in Sri Lanka. See, Pranav, I'm not bothered whether it was taxed earlier or not. I'm not bothered, Ria, whether it is remitted or not. That point I'm trying to tell you. First of all, this participant by my name, first you tell me your real name. Okay. Huh. Now, what I want to tell you is, yes, agricultural income is earned in Sri Lanka. Getting the point? And you are non-resident. It is received in Sri Lanka. It is earned in Sri Lanka. Okay. And it is for PY 2021. It is remitted to India. Will it be taxed in India? Will it be taxed in India? No. Fantastic. It will not be taxed in India. Very good. Very good. So you have understood the essence of it. Fantastic. Amazing. Amazing. Very good. Exactly. And if the assessee was resident, ordinary resident assessee, then it will be taxable even though it is not remitted in India. The fact that it is earned by ROR, that itself means it will be taxable. So remittance does not matter at all. Okay, remitted, not remitted, never matters in deciding taxability of income. Clear? Yes, fantastic. Then residential status of firm, local authority, artificial juridical person. They will be either resident or they will be non-resident. Okay, when they will be resident, if control and management, even if some part of control and management is in India, they will be called as resident. And if control and management is situated wholly outside India, they will be called as non-resident. Is it clear to all of you? Fantastic. And for company, we are discussing company, Indian company will always be resident, correct? Foreign company may become resident if its place of effective management is in India at any point of time during the PY. Okay. And place for deciding place of effective management, ABOI is important. That is active business outside India. That point needs to be considered. So I hope that you have understood residential status, determination, and basically also scope of income. Okay. What you are asking, ABOR? No, I'm saying ABOI, active business outside India. So it is not there for CA intermediate. I'll just tell you it is just there for CS professional. Yes, POEM is place of effective management. Okay, so I'm telling you POEM may not be done by CA intermediate and CS executive students. It is only for CA final and CS professional students. POEM stands for place of effective management. Okay, so I've put its full form here. Is it clear? Did you understand all the things? So once I will show you the schedule of this batch and then we can conclude. I'm doubtful whether that WhatsApp will open now or not. If it opens, it is okay. So if this session was helpful for you, please share this knowledge that such sessions are happening. Share this knowledge with your other friends also for whom it could be helpful. One. Secondly, yes, class was till 10 o'clock, absolutely correct. But right now, there is no electricity at my place. Getting the point? So I'm operating on mobile data. So, and thankfully, it has not yet disobeyed. The mobile data is running well. Yes, I'll share immediately this MCQ with you, and I will also share this Excel sheet with you. Okay. What else I intended to cover in this session was few examples from this ICI module. That also, but this mobile data can disconnect anytime. So I'm not doing it. Yes, this session I'm planning to upload on YouTube as well. Yes, friends, do you know what is agenda for tomorrow? What is the agenda for tomorrow? I'll just read out once that what is the agenda for upcoming days. Yes, thank you very much for this compliments. I'll just discuss with you agenda for upcoming sessions. So listen, my dear friends. Agenda is like this. We are taking tomorrow alternative tax regime. Tomorrow means actually 14th of June. We are taking alternative tax regime of 115 BAC. Then we are taking on 16th June TDS TCS. Okay. And so on. We will take all the topics. So for today, thank you very much. Till 30th June, we will complete all these 9 sessions. A detailed schedule is already given to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.